Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a different kind of global power struggle. One that's not fought with armies and tanks, but with ideas, with images, with influence. This is the hidden world of public diplomacy.
So, what if I told you that the greatest battles of diplomacy aren't happening in some stuffy, secret war room? What if they're being fought right out in the open, on your movie screen, in classrooms, and all over your social media feed?
All right, to really get a handle on this hidden battlefield, you've got to understand the weapons. And in the world of international relations, power really boils down to two very different flavors.
So on one hand, you've got what's called hard power. This is the stuff you probably think of first. It's coercion, right? It's military might, economic sanctions. Basically, it's all about forcing other countries to do what you want. But then there's soft power, and this is totally different. This is the power of attraction. It's about making others want what you want through your culture, your values, your policies.
And it's that idea, the power of attraction, that's at the very heart of what we're talking about today. This is the art of persuasion, but on a massive global scale.
Okay, so what is public diplomacy, really? Well, you can think of it as a country's long-game strategy. It's the strategic effort to understand, to inform, and to influence people in other countries so that they support your goals. It's not just about blasting out a message. It's about building real relationships and, most importantly, credibility over years, sometimes even decades.
So, that's the theory. But how does this stuff actually work in the real world? How do countries actually use this soft power? Well, let's take a look at a few key strategies right out of the modern diplomat's playbook.
First up, we've got something called niche diplomacy. I love this one. It's kind of like the classic underdog strategy. See, instead of trying to compete with the big superpowers on every single issue, a smaller or middle power country decides to focus all its resources on one specific area, an area where it can really shine and become a global leader. It lets them punch way, way above their economic or military weight. Just look at Canada. For decades, they have so carefully built this reputation as the world's good citizen, right? They were pioneers in international peacekeeping. They led the Ottawa process to ban anti-personnel landmines. By doing this, Canada carved out a unique identity that gives it this incredible moral authority and a respected voice on the world stage. Or how about Norway? They've carved out this incredibly powerful and influential role as a global peacemaker. Think about it. Their critical role in the Oslo Accords, the fact that they're the world's top aid donor relative to their size, and of course, they host the Nobel Peace Prize. Norway has literally turned its commitment to peace into a major source of global clout.
But hey, it's not just the smaller countries playing this game. During the Cold War, the U.S. turned culture into a seriously potent weapon in its ideological fight. They'd send jazz legends like Louis Armstrong on world tours as ambassadors of freedom. They'd secretly fund and promote abstract art to showcase American creativity versus Soviet conformity. The whole idea was to open a door to Western culture, to show off ideals of freedom and dissent, and ultimately to try and pull people away from communism.
All right, let's shift gears to another powerful strategy, and it's something we're all super familiar with from the world of advertising, branding. The only difference here is that the product being sold is an entire nation.
France is a fantastic example of this. They've consciously rebranded themselves over and over again. Just think about the shift from the royal fleur-de-lis of the monarchy to the red, white, and blue tricolor of the revolution. They didn't just change a flag. They changed their whole visual identity, their national anthem, even their system of measurement. It was a radical signal of a break with the past. And then Napoleon came along and did it all over again, rebranding the young republic as this grand, glorious empire.
But, a national brand can be a bit of a double-edged sword. Germany's brand is a perfect case study. It is so powerfully associated with precision engineering and amazing cars, right? That creates this awesome halo effect for companies like Siemens or Volkswagen. But for a fashion brand like Hugo Boss or even the tech giant SAP, that same made in Germany stereotype can actually be a bit of a burden. So you'll notice they often downplay their German roots.
And then you've got countries that have just absolutely nailed the modern rebrand. Spain is a huge success story here. Over the past few decades, they've used this amazing, multifaceted program built around their art, their incredible architecture, the food, soccer, to completely transform how the world sees them and to revitalize their own national pride. But look, this battle for hearts and minds, it is incredibly delicate. For every success story like Spain, there are plenty of examples where these charm offensives have just fallen completely flat, or worse, totally backfired.
And this really gets to the core of it.
The crucial point here is that your actions have to align with your words. Credibility is the currency of public diplomacy, and hypocrisy is the fastest way to go bankrupt. You just can't effectively run a military offensive and a charm offensive at the exact same time.
You can see this playing out after 2003. The U.S. effort to win hearts and minds in the Middle East was just hammered by events on the ground. The failure to find any weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, the shocking Abu Ghraib prison scandal, the detentions at Guantanamo Bay, all of these things directly contradicted the American message of freedom and justice.
This is such a great illustration of how quickly credibility can be lost, but also how it can be regained. During the first SARS crisis, China's move to conceal the outbreak backfired just spectacularly, and it really damaged their international reputation. But they learned their lesson. The next time around, they moved with transparency and really effective action, showing they understood how the public diplomacy game is played.
Okay, so where does all this leave us today? Well, in our hyper-connected world, where information and disinformation can circle the globe in a heartbeat, the stakes in this battle for influence have never, ever been higher.
And the impact of losing this battle is real. It's measurable. Just look at this number. In Indonesia, the world's most populous Muslim-majority country, favorable views of the United States absolutely cratered. They went from 61% down to just 15% in a single year after the invasion of Iraq. That is a catastrophic loss of soft power.
Because ultimately, what this all comes down to is storytelling. In the 21st century, a nation's narrative, its story, is one of its most critical strategic assets. The country with the most compelling, the most credible story, wins.
Which kind of leaves us with one final thought, right? Every single day, countries are competing for your attention, for your trust, through the movies you watch, the news you read, the values they project. So it's worth taking a second to ask yourself, who is winning the battle for your mind?